So I'm not happy now. I don't think it's appropriate to say swear words on videos that kids might watch or anybody. It's just no need for it. But for the first time, I wanted to just litter this video with a bunch of swear words. It might happen. Why do I want to swear? Why do I want to swear? Because KTMs are piles of crap. They're worthless piles of crap. The heyday of the company is done. Like my dad says, you can get too big for your britches, and it's a lot easier, or it's a lot harder to lose weight than to control your diet. And KTM right now is too big for their britches, and I think their glory years are over. You know what? I do, because the quality control sucks. Totally sucks. And if you watch the video from before, right before this, about the vacuum testing stuff, you know, you probably saw that. A lot of things were leaking that just shouldn't have happened. I'm leaking down there at the base gasket thing. You want to know how I was leaking? Because the bottom of the cylinder wasn't flat on this side when you put a flat edge on it. Not a good situation. Another guy had a ghost problem, and I was telling him about this, and he said, God, I got this 125 with a ghost problem. And, you know, I'm going to have to pull the old pressure tester out and give it a test. And then I talked to him this morning and he says, yeah, it's got a leak in it, and the leak sounds like it's coming from the inside of the clutch cover. You know what it was? The bike has 10 hours on it. The O-ring on the crank shaft that goes underneath the gear that goes on the end. So the gear goes on the end of it, the seal fits around it, and then there's no ring on the inside to keep pressure from leaking through. The O-ring was never even put there. So they had to tear the whole thing apart, something you never would have thought happened. But once the cover was off and they pumped it up with pressure, you could hear it coming out. Can you believe that? It was never even put in place. And he said, I think the company's days are numbered. I said, yeah, I think you are right. And we both agreed if Yamaha would just make a YZ300 counterbalancer, an electric start, and keep a carburetor on it and get rid of all this fuel injection trash, then, you know, it would probably put KTM out of business. So the beef is, you saw another thing, I finally got it fixed. I found the problems. I'm making runs with all brand new parts to get my power back up to snuff, my 60 horsepower, my baseline for my Bonneville stuff. Time's getting short. I go through 20 runs, but it's on my Klotz R50 oil that I like, fully synthetic base oil. I go through 50 runs where you're basically fourth, fifth, rev it up, pressurize the rings, expand the rings, seat them in. I kept making and then 6th gear, but you don't let it idle, you don't let it rev out, you don't create the heat, you just create the expansion so the rings will cut into the crosshatch in the cylinder. I did 24 runs on it. Gave it a run. It didn't have the power that it should. Checked the compression. It was a bit on the low side. So I took the cylinder off to see if something had gone haywire for any reason. Looked at the rings, and they weren't cut in by any means. In fact, they were just starting to cut in, which I think in a way tells you how good the Klotz R50 is for a synthetic thing, but it wasn't letting the stuff cut in. And look here, one good thing about a phone is you turn like on magnification 5, and it lets you see in the screen. It's like a magnifying glass. It's great what's going on. And you can see on the ring here that just the very center of it's shiny. And since the ring has a curvature to it, the curvature needs to cut off. And that's why just the center was shiny, because only the center high point of the curvature of the ring was rubbing on the cylinder. And when it gets fully cut away, then you would see it shining all the way down the ring. And it wasn't even shining all the way around the ring, which meant that it was still leaking by. But dig this picture. It's pretty stinking good for a phone. Cool, huh? I mean, hey, it's good if you're having interesting problems, if you're trying to break things in. One, it gives you an idea of how long things actually could take to break things for them to break in. And yeah, two, just to see that what really happens is kind of neat. So I go back to my Legends oil, Legends brand oil. It's my friend Mark Zach that owns that company. It's half petroleum, half synthetic. I have some petroleum based now. It's not so slippery. Things will cut in faster. So I run that for a while. Get on it, and I'm still not making the power. But this time, when I do it, I hook up the air fuel meter that's always drawing the pipe, but I wasn't doing it when I was just breaking it in. I hook it up, give it a run, and the thing's rich. Pretty rich, actually. Look at how rich this is. The bottom lines versus the top lines. And by rich, you can see the big power dumpage up here. And by rich, I mean this line right here. These are the air fuel numbers. This orange line versus the red line, quite a bit richer than the red line. Orange line up here, way less power than my red line. What in the world changed? The ECU didn't change. That's what people need to realize. They go, well, something just up and changed. Well, the electronics inside the ECU don't just up and change. Something else changed. And I figured out what it was. So I'm going, what in the world happened? Why is it so rich? I checked the compression. It's a little bit better. So I know that it's starting to cut in better. Not a problem. I go, okay, that's cool. So I decided to take the top end off one more time to look in it. Few starting to get scratch marks. I don't think the Legends is as good as the Coloss as far as the film strength, for the hard running. But I wasn't blaming anything on that. It was causing it to cut in. It was doing what I wanted, and then I was going to switch back, honestly. Put it back together. My base gasket was glued on because I had the leaks there before. Scraped it all off. Put a new base gasket on. Put the cylinder back on. I go, you know what? I'm just going to see if it holds before I glue that thing down. I just put a real different kind of just clear silicone seal on it. Pumped it up. Air is coming flying out. Again, you got to be kidding me. It sounds like it's in the same area. Spraying the stuff around it. Absolutely no problem down here. Want to see what it was? Watch this. Yeah, right here at this crankcase pressure joint. For no reason, you saw in the video before that was tight. Everything was good, or I wouldn't have gone running. For no reason. The bike's sitting on the dyno. It's not even shaking around. It's a freaking dirt bike. It's meant to hop around and shake around. If this happened to me after a few runs when everything was good and for absolutely no reason started leaking that bad, you can imagine now why it could be causing you so many very interesting problems. The pressure changes in there. This doesn't know what to do. It sends a different pressure to the ECU. The ECU responds by making it leaner or richer. You really never know which. In this case, it made it quite a bit richer. If you're out there and for some reason you're just fouling a spark plug and you have no idea why, or you're taking your plug out and things were running good and now they're running weird, and you go, well, your ECU program and something must have gone wrong. Well, you had 3 weeks on it. That doesn't just up and change. This is the kind of stuff that ups and changes. And you pull a plug out and it's, black. Well, keep it in mind. You saw what that did for no reason whatsoever. And that's why I say this quality is going to absolute crap. If this thing had a carburetor, we wouldn't have all these stupid little parts and these issues. Anyhow, I'm just mad because it cost me a bunch of time, but I'm also mad because I have the stuff to figure these things out quite a bit quicker. If you're just a normal person, you don't have all this stuff. You're really scratching your head at your wit's end. And if you go to a shop, this isn't a thing that very many people do, pressure check these things. People will go, what are you talking about, pressure checking a two-stroke? Most shops wouldn't even have this kind of stuff, which is very simple to make, but they wouldn't even be checking leak down on this, or let alone a 4-stroke. So they'll give you the runaround and change parts and all this stuff and give you these bills, and you would still have these awkward problems. So just keep it in mind. Unfortunately, you need a fuel pressure tester. Don't all these piles of trash now. And now you're going to have to add a vacuum thing to your kit, and then you're going to have to seal the hell out of everything you ever put on the stupid bike. All right. Well, other than that, I hope you have a nice night. And I guess a lot of you are going to be piecing together vacuum testers and giving your bike a check. But I hope it helps. I hope it solves a problem for you. Okay, hopefully I can get this thing back up to snuff so we can move forward.